Hello, everybody. So I want to show how I did this rig, but rather than doing a big, giant, long tutorial, I'm going to break it into pieces. That way it's easy to find the one thing that you're looking for. So what I'm going to cover today is how I do these head turns. And my goal was not to do these rigs that people do that are really cool. It's just not the style I wanted to go for. That it's like a continuous rotation. I wanted to have the set positions of the drawings the way a 2D cartoon classically would. So I'm going to show how I do that setup from scratch in a new file. Not drawing the whole character or anything like that, because it's really not important to the tutorial. So I have a blank scene. I've already deleted all the extra stuff. I'm going to create a grease pencil object, a blank. I'm going to create a layer that I'll call head, and then I'll create a layer that I'll call nose. And the head drawing, let me create a material too. I will call outline. As you're rigging a character like this, naming all this stuff from the beginning becomes, it makes your life so much easier as you're going to try and select these things again, and especially as you get complex things like drivers, which we are going to be getting into. So I'll create that called outline. I'm going to be on the head layer, Control Tab to get to draw mode, and I'm going to keep this simple. Just draw a circle using the ink pen. This doesn't need to be great, it just needs to be clear. So I'm going to lock that layer so I don't accidentally edit it again. Oh, looks like I drew my keys at the wrong frame. So let me move those. Now I'm going to lock that. Just for my own ease, I'm going to start with just the nose in the center. Just going to draw a simple cartoon nose here. I'm going to make it bigger because it fits my style better. Except I'm drawing it really crappy. All right. So that is my first drawing. And I'm drawing this the way you would if you're doing a turn in traditional animation. So I'm going to go to my next frame, and I do have the record button on my timeline, so it automatically creates a new frame. This is Blender 2.93, by the way. So my next drawing I'm going to put about right there. Let me turn on onion skin. Looks like I lost some volume there, so I'll redraw that. And I try not to be too reliant on onion skin. There's a channel I'll link to who has great tutorials on 2D animation, and he talks about relying on just being able to see volumes as you're switching back and forth. So the volumes aren't right on that yet, but for now I'll just leave it. So now I have my front, my 3/4, and now I'll do side. Looks like I lost a little bit of sides there too. So I have those, and that works. Like a lot of times 2D cartoons are done front, 3/4, and side. But if we want a little bit more detail, I can spread these out and then go and do the in-between drawings. That way I have a more detailed turn. I can get a little bit more positions out of my character. So let me turn off onion skin so we can see how that looks. And the shape's a little wonky. I'll just go in to scope mode really quick and pull the shape around and try and get it to be more similar. That's close enough for our purposes. This is only half my turn, obviously, and I have to do the other half first. And normally I try and encourage people to draw the stuff new. It just teaches you to be a better drawer by not relying on duplicating things all the time. But, so this being my center drawing, I want it to be the center of the keys that I make. So before I duplicate that other side, I'm going to put this as my center, and then I'm going to basically reverse this footage, which I guess I could have just done it in reverse in the first place, but here we are. All right, and so now I have it going the other way. Shift D to duplicate. Shift D to duplicate. Shift D to duplicate. So now I've duplicated it, it plays over. What I'm going to do is now go into edit mode. I want this one to be on the other side. I'm going to turn onion skin back on because it makes it a little easier. So I right click this, mirror, local X, then G to move it, and hit X so I can constrain it to the X axis. Go to my next frame, mirror, local X, G, X, mirror, local X, G, X, mirror, local X, G, X. I think one of those is not that great. This one looks like it needs to go back this way a bit. So now we have, turn off onion skin again. There we have our turn. Now what we need to do, actually need a blank frame here. I'm actually going to create a blank frame here too. Because that when the nose goes behind it. So now what we need to do is set up the controls for this. So I'm going to go into object mode again. I'm going to create an armature. And I only need this one joint, or I need two joints. This will be the root, which I like to keep at 0. First thing I'm going to do is change bone layer. And I like to put these kinds of hidden things on this layer. It's completely arbitrary. You can do whatever. So now you can see that white dot there indicates there's a joint there. I'm going to create a new joint. And I will just move this over here. It's arbitrary. Now, this is going to be the joint that controls the head rotation. I'm going to go into pose mode. As always, I'm going to name this. I'm going to name it control head turn. A couple of things that I need to do on this. I need to add a custom property. So add, I'm going to change the name to drawing indexer, because I want, this is going to, other things in the scene are going to reference this, and it makes it easier if I do all the setup on this driver, on the driver that this is going to represent. Then I have it set once, and then everything else just has to reference it. I don't have to do individual setups on every driver. So I'm going to make the default value on this 0, and I'm not putting a decimal. That way it keeps it as integers, whole numbers, or the property value. Then I'm going to set the default value to 0. Then I'm going to make the range -10 to 10. And however many drawings you have, you can make. Plus you can make extras if you have like special drawings, you could always put in there. But for this purpose, 10 works. It's actually more than I need. So now I have that. What I want to do is have the X location of this joint drive this drawing indexer. So what I can do is right click here, copy as new driver, and then paste driver. And you'll see that as I drag this around, that number's changing. But I have some more to do to this. First, I don't want to be able to move this in any direction. The only thing I would need to move it in is side to side. So what I'm going to do is go to the bone constraints, add bone constraint, limit location. And I'm going to check all of these, including the effect transform. You'll notice it jumped back to 0. What you need to do is where it says owner, change that back to local space, and now all those limits are starting from where it's currently sitting. And all I need here is the X location to be able to move. So I'm going to do -1 and then +1 on the maximum X value. So now you see I can only move it, no matter what I do, I can only move this side to side. And if I go back here, you'll notice my drawing indexer is updating, but it's only going from 0 to 1 or to -1. What I need to do is go into my driver settings here, and that you can find that panel in here. If you want more like detailed stuff on drivers, check out pixel level. I learned a lot about driver stuff from that channel. So I want to change this from average value to scripted expression. And in this particular example, I need to multiply that by 10. And it's however Blender is under the hood calculating this 1 meter just necessitates that. Someone can probably explain it. To me, it's not even worth trying to figure out why. Multiplying it by 10 here works. In my actual rig, I actually multiply it by 100 because of the scale of the character and how much that thing actually moves in the scene makes that make sense. So now if I move this, you'll notice the drawing indexer down here going from -10 to 10. So I'm done with that. The only thing I need to do now is get that to drive the drawings. So first thing I need to do, I'm going to copy this data path. And what that's going to allow me to do in the driver, when I paste that in the path, it will make the new driver look in that location. All right. Going back into object mode, selecting my grease pencil object. So what I want to do is put in the modifier panel, I'm going to go to add modifier, time offset. So this allows you, like, if say you have 100 frames of animation, but you want to have it happen 3 frames later or 3 frames later. That's what this does in its default state. But we're actually going to use fixed frame. And if you'll notice, as I move this value, you'll see my nose going across as it's rotating. We're going to use the bone, actually that drawing indexer on the bone to control this. But you'll notice right now if I go the head disappears. So I want to make sure that this only affects the nose. And what we can do for that is here in the object properties, select my nose, open up this thing that says relationships, and where it says pass index, I'm going to change that to 1. You could set this number to whatever, but it allows you to have different things affect just certain grease pencil layers. Now I'll go back to my modifier where it says influence. I'm going to change that to pass index and 1. So now you see my head's not disappearing. But now I need to control this. So I'm going to add driver, then go to, I don't need any of this. I'm going to choose my object, which is that armature. I'm going to change this to single property. And now I can paste that path. So right now, if I go back to my bone here, you'll notice that my default position is not the center. But if you remember, I shifted all those things, all the drawings over to frame 6, I think it was. So the center is not frame 0, but the value there is 0. So what I can do is go here and just take that variable and add +6. Now it's in the center. Go back to go back into pose mode, and now you'll see I have this controlling the side-to-side motion of that thing, and all it's doing is using that value to cycle through drawings. So it's pretty straightforward. And if I go back to my other rig to show this in detail, so I have the hair, the nose, the ears are all doing that, and each one of these, if and go back to the thing, you see I have a separate offset for the body, one for the nose, one for the head. And actually the one for the head and the one for the nose aren't that different. I used to have a much more complex setup where I had separate control of the hair, the nose, and all that, but my rig was getting extremely slow, so I've been simplifying that. And that's the basis of it. You just have to go in and do each of your drawings if you're chasing this style. And so the next tutorial I will show how I did this setup, which has all the squash and stretch, which by itself is actually really simple too. And I'll do another short tutorial like this. All right, thanks. Bye, everybody.